Hello and welcome back. This is going to be the second video that I'm doing on Paragon and the updates that should be made to make it a more popular game and make it a honestly more competitive esport as a whole. I will be linking the first video that I did of it in the description down below. It talked mainly about specific hero balances to 3 heroes. This one's going to be talking about card changes and changes to the game as a whole that need to be done to make it more fair, but also just generic balance things. I wouldn't say it's unfair now. I'd just say that some of it's not even that the cards are unbalanced, like they can be applied to anything. Just there are certain things that need to be changed because they don't work right now. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is power cards. In the older version that they used to have of the game, before they added in Monolith, there used to be two different types of cards. There used to be ability cards that gave ability power, and there used to be just power cards that gave power to basic attack. Someone like Murdoch would be running basic attack cards that would increase basic attacks like you see in this now. Murdoch stack power, and that's pretty much the only Murdoch build that works. In the old version, people like Iggy and Scorch, people that relied on their abilities, would use ability power to get their abilities. So Howitzer would run ability power, Murdoch would run straight power. It would allow them to fight each other better, as opposed to now where Murdoch full build can 1v1. Honestly, the only person I think would maybe be Greystone, that's stacking life. Stacking life steal, and you're able to push, or you're not able to push him back. That's pretty much the only thing I think that would beat you 1v1 as a Murdoch. The way the system works now, while you can build like basic armor and ability armor, with the way the hero pick works and the card decks work, you're still limited to 40 cards. You aren't given all the cards you have at your disposal to use. So it doesn't even matter with ability power and stuff. It's entirely about predicting before the game starts in a non-competitive situation. Like if they're for a professional scene, honestly, the way it works right now would probably be fine because you know what the other team leans towards picking. You're playing against random people in this right now. You're limited to 40 cards, so you can't build a deck anticipating, oh, they're going to pick Murdoch, they're going to be running damage build on him. They're going to be, or they're going to pick Gideon, they're going to be building ability power, or they're going to be building just straight power on him. You can't predict that ahead of the game. Like, you can't until you get in the game know, and once you get in the game, you can't modify your deck, which is a problem. Because while you can just generically put ability armor and stuff in, you're limited to 40 cards, so you can only put in the cards that you deem absolutely necessary, and then maybe 2 or 3 for variation. So you could maybe put in one that builds ability power, one that builds, or ability armor, one that builds regular armor, and that leaves you, one card for if the other team's running a Bellica for Mana Steal. Then you need one to build mana, but then what if they're running something that you need health for? You can't build health if you need to. It kind of limits you. And while it does require you to understand the character more, knowing what their weakness is, it limits the play a lot, I feel. Going along with that, you used to be able to upgrade your left click, your right click, your Q, your E, and your R. Right now you can only upgrade your Q, your E, and your R, and your right click. And that's so that at the end of the game when you're level 15, you have everything fully upgraded. Personally, I would really like to see them go back to the upgrading the left click. Add that back in. Keep the capital levels at level 15. This encourages a much more dynamic build. It requires you to both understand the person you're playing against, to understand, okay, they just did 850 damage with one Murdoch shot if you keep the power builds the same. That means that they did not upgrade their left click at all because they're a full power Murdoch, they just critted me. But if they're doing 900 damage, you know they upgrade their left click, which means other stuff's missing. While there would be better builds for characters, like with Murdoch, you probably wouldn't upgrade the shield at all. You would sacrifice that and some of your E for your left click. But for other characters, that would be something that you actually have to think about. Say, honestly, Iggy and Scorch. Iggy and Scorch would probably never upgrade their left click. They would always upgrade their turrets. And yes, I'm bringing them up because of this background play that I'm doing with one of my friends. We went Iggy and Scorch and Narbash together to lane as a joke. But it would give players, honestly, an opportunity. Someone like Howitzer, you wouldn't know what they're going to build. You might guess that they're going to stack their Q, but there'd be Howitzers that might power build their just basic attack. And you don't really know that. Same with Gideon. Honestly, mid laners would be a very big surprise when you go up to fight them in an off lane, and it would require a lot more team communication. It would make it a much more team based game. You'd have to tell your team, okay, the person in my lane is building Q. The person in my lane is building, obviously you're building alt, but they're building left click. They're not building left click. It's stuff that you would have to pick up. It requires a much more knowledgeable player base, and it requires you to be much more of a team. I personally think it's something that would be very good for the game. And aside from the team communication element, it would also give a competitive element to the game that you would need to do. You would need to think, sure, generically, it might be better to upgrade. I'm going to use Howitzer as this because he's someone that can honestly build lots of ways, just as most mid laners can. You would need to think, is it better for me to solo build my left click and my Q, and then have that for my and have that control my lane dominate, or would it be better that as opposed to doing that, I upgrade my right click, I upgrade my E, so that if I need to support a teammate, my escape does more damage, they're less likely to chase both of us. It requires you to think more as a team about what would be better for your team. Someone like, honestly, a lot of the tanks would benefit from that too. Sure, it might be better to upgrade your E as Rampage, get more health regen in the jungle, but you have to think, am I going to be in the jungle a lot, or am I going to be supporting in lane, where something like my rock throw, my basic hit, it'd be better to upgrade. It requires you to think a lot farther ahead, which gives much more competitive element to the game, especially if they add in competitive. As for changes in cards, I would also like to see the developers come out with specific numbers that they give us about the cards. So take your, what's it called? The ability pen, ability armor, and stuff like that. I would like to see specific numbers for what that means to your character equipping it. Does 2 ability pen mean that anyone, is it a plus minus thing? Like if you have +2 ability armor, is that all it means? And that if they have 0 ability pen, therefore that's the max you're going to get? Or is it the more ability pen that you get, the weaker their ability, or there's the more you penetrate with your abilities? I like to see specific numbers in that, because then if it is just an addition game, if I have 2, you have 4, I just don't get the bonus. I would like to know that. It would give WoW, as I was saying before, it's an issue with the predictive thing if you can't change your decks in game, so you can't really predict. It would still give you a basic knowledge like, do I need 16 ability pen, 16 ability armor realistically? Because if it's just a plus minus game where if you have 2, they have 4, then yours does nothing. Or if they have 4, you have 2, theirs does nothing. Is that something that exists, or is it much more advanced than that? Is it that it actually ratios? It would just kind of make it easier to understand how you should be building, honestly. And then on top of that, while there are many diverse cards, I would like to see some that are slightly more diverse. So you'd see, honestly, as I said before, the ability pen cards that come back. If you make ability pen cards, then that would kind of open up to the diverse cards. But right now, I would like to see a lot more cards that give you more options, like maybe a lifesteal power card, something like that, that goes with Fury. Also, last I checked, the fire damage cards don't apply, like Iggy and Scorch can't use them. I may be wrong on that, but I was looking through the cards available for Iggy and Scorch and I don't remember seeing them. If that's a thing, please make that a thing so Iggy and Scorch does fire over time, because she kind of needs all the help she can get right now. That's honestly pretty much it for this video. Thank you all for stopping by. That's going to be the last of my changes for now. I'm going to see if this gets any reception at all from either Paragon or just people watching. I know Paragon isn't really the most popular game, but I actually enjoy playing it a lot, and honestly, I think these changes would be for the better in the game. If they were, I think it'd become, especially the ones I made in the first video about competitive, I think it'd become a much better game. But if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Otherwise, have a nice day. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for stopping by.